part of our hand techniques, other than all our strikes, we have basic strikes, which would be a straight fist, vertical, reverse, horizontal. We have hammer fist, we have back fist, we have spear thrust, we have outside judo, inside judo, we have palm strikes. Apart from just all the basic tools of your strikes, we're working on the theories and strategies utilized for our strikes. So we call these hand techniques, but not limited to the striking techniques. So here the first, in reviewing what we were doing earlier, is the first thing that we do is we're going to work on theories of reflecting, redirecting, channeling, and in doing this, so we have an exercise which is connected to what some people would view as sticking. So some of the sticking exercises that we'd start is two people would have their hands up, and right now my hands are on the outside, and reviewing what we did before, we don't just come, this one's called the weaving because you're going to go over the arm and under the arm, but I can't oppose my opponent's energy. So what I do, I'll do it from this side because it'll be easier to show. I move my body this way so I could put my arm through here. I'm still sticking here. When I come back here, I have both my hands covering his hand. I can stop both his hands with one of my hands. That's the whole idea. So this is a form of trapping. So in doing this, if I do it from this side, instead of just pushing his hand over, it doesn't really work. So when I move this way, I take this hand with me here. And at the same time as I put my hand under here, which is going to cross this one over here, which is again trapping him, putting me in a position to hit him. So if I have one hand on the inside of his and one hand on the outside, that first trap that we did can still work out. If I have this hand on the inside of his, I can do another sticking technique, winding my hand through here, crossing this one back out, and sticking him and trapping again. So we do these. Now we're not fighting with this because the whole idea between getting to feel of moving away from strikes and coming back and hitting is just an exercise of getting the feel of energy. Now anybody can say, oh, I'm going to hit him, but the idea is I have to use his energy to hit him. Now I can't let go. I have to sort of give a slight little bit of pressure on his hand, then ride his energy out. If there's pressure here, I can ride this energy out. I slightly push here, so when he pushes back, I can hit him. So the whole idea of sticking is never to leave your opponent's hand to hit him. That's not the exercise. The exercise is, for me, to use his energy to hit him. To do that, I have to have a slight bit of force here and ride his resistance from that force. So again, what it does is it develops the ability so that if he's coming to hit me with this hand, I can feel that energy and redirect it around. So hopefully when you're doing this, anytime he's coming to hit me, if he comes from this other side, I'm redirecting it around. So as I redirect it around, I'm redirecting it around to his other hand, so then I can trap him again and have one hand. I'm still sticking to his arm and I can hit him. So this is just a basic exercise that we do where I can hit him using his energy. You can see I didn't let go of him to hit him. He has energy that's pushing my hand this way. So as my hand goes out each way, it will be able to, I push down and he pushes back up. But he doesn't know what's going on, and he went to, okay, this is kind of cool. It's more advanced. But what happened was he was in a position to hit me with the backhand, and I turned my hand this way to stop him from doing that. That will allow me to take it back out and do these techniques. Now, the only reason why we practice this is because we want to redirect energy. So if I'm standing here and one punch comes, I'm redirecting that energy. So the exercises that we're going to work on now, because what I was just explaining was a review from what we were doing on the last class, is that he will punch a punch out and I'll redirect that punch. So if I don't move, if he punches out, he punches out and it punches in, and see how that looks? He punches this way and he retracts. So he's not punching me in a circle, because when I'm redirecting him, it will appear as though he's punching me in a circle. So when he comes to punch me, I'm redirecting that energy. And later on, if he comes to punch me, I redirect that energy. He could come to punch me with the other hand, and I'll redirect that energy, and then we're going to be in a trapping position where then I could use my other hand. So all along, if try punching from the other side. So as long as you're redirecting it, that's the whole idea of me and him practicing doing this stuff, is getting a feel of redirecting energy. That's all that we're doing. Because realistically, I'm standing like this, he comes to punch, I redirect that energy around. Now if I wanted to put that into an arm bar or just go to punch him or cross his other hand, because if he punches 1, 2, one will cross his other hand. We'll do that from the other side because I'm sure you can't see this. When he goes 1, 2, yeah, 1, 2, I want to cross here, so it's crossing this one. If that other punch comes, I can cross it over again. Each time you're redirecting that energy. So the whole concept of this theory, strategy of hand techniques is redirecting. So when he comes to punch, one, it redirects to the other one, putting me in a position to sink my opponent. So realistically, you should be able to defend both of his hands with one of your hands doing this technique. Okay, from the first exercise, what we do when we covered the sticking, when we're weaving like this, or coming from the inside over top and then coming back across, as long as you're on the outside, that's just an exercise so that you can have a feeling, so that if somebody's coming to hit you, that you can redirect it around. Now the next aspect of it is we're doing an application to a punch. So a lot of people, some of my other videos from years ago, people think that people are punching like this in circles and they're making fun of them, but really what they're doing is they're punching 1, 2 like this, except for why it looks like it's going in a circle is because when the person comes to punch, you're coming like this and you're redirecting their hand. So it's like if I was to punch him in and out, it would look like this. So if he was to punch me in and out, it would look like that. Now what I'm doing is, when he comes to punch me, I'm taking his punch and I'm redirecting it. Just like when we were here, the sticking format, when the hand comes to hit me, I redirect it around so that I can come up and hit him and cross both of his hands over so he can't hit me. So here, when he comes to punch, I'm right away crossing. So what I can do is go redirect him and go straight to the hit. But if he's hitting 1, 2, so when he comes to punch, he has a second punch, or even from here has a third punch, even from here has a fourth punch. So as long as what we're going to do eventually is that he's going to repetitiously punch me, and I'm just going to use one hand to redirect. So it makes it look like, okay, slow down for a second. It makes it look like his punches are going like this. He's not punching that way. That's how I'm redirecting it. So when he comes to punch, I'm coming to hit him. The exercise, when he comes to punch, I should be able to, if I wanted to, from just that, when he goes to punch that again, I redirect it and went and hit him. Except for I'm not hitting him, I'm just leaving my hand open just to give him a little cuff. So when he comes to punch 1, 2, you can see how this goes. If he punches underneath, that was a sticking that came like this, that redirected up. Because if the next punch is coming, it's coming from this. Anytime I want to drift him, I can drift him. Now, I can do it at any given moment because I'm just, when he comes to punch, I'm just using one hand. He keeps punching me. As he comes to punch me, I'm redirecting in this position here so that I can, at any moment, once I cross his arms across each other, I can explode in and hit him. So all this exercise is doing is saying, when he comes to punch, move your head. So don't get in the habit of just going like this. Come to punch, just like me being a statue, keeps punching, me being a statue and just going like this. Make sure that when he comes to punch, that you move your head out of the way. So if he comes to punch, I move my head out. Now, I stop because I'm waiting for the second punch. anytime that I want to throw my punch in there, I can punch across. So in this exercise, you're just coming from this position here, and I'm making his punches cross himself. And again, like I said, anytime I want to explode in with my second punch, I can do so. Okay, from here, as you practice, when one punch comes, you counter the cross. So that what that means is that when his right arm comes, my right arm's going to match it, and it's going to stick and redirect it in a position where I can hit him. If he punches from the other side, I'm going to redirect it and go to here. So after you practice this for a while, it's just a matter of redirecting. So don't go and hit this because it's just going to offset the energy. You take his energy that's coming out and you redirect it. So once energy is coming out, I can make energy go this way. I can make him come down. I could make him come across this way if I want, which if I was really stupid because I'm going to get punched in my head from this side, I'd have to change it back. And that's the sticking technique. If I'm on this side, I was worried about this punch, I turn this way, so I'm over top again so I can punch him and trap both of his arms again. That's the whole idea of what you're doing here. But breaking it down is when he comes to punch and I redirect it around, and he punches from the other side and I redirect it around. So here, what you're going to do is he's going to do two punches. So he's going to go for a 1-2. One is going to direct across the other. Always you have a position to come across, counter-crossing him. So when he comes to punch and you take one across the other, this is where you're going to be. Now if he comes to punch and I don't move, you see his punch is not doing this. Because I was teaching this before in a video and somebody says, nobody punches like this. And it's like, well, he isn't punching like that. And I'm going to reiterate this again because it's sort of annoying because people don't understand before they comment. So as he comes to punch and I'm taking one across the other, or he comes to punch and I just go right in to hit him, at the same time as I defend from his second punch, I can hit him with it. So when he comes to punch and I come in this position to hit him, I'm still counter-crossing his other arm. If he punches 1-2, this time I trapped him because I got his wrist caught on this side of my forearm, his arm crossed over top, he's in this position here, his face is wide open for me to punch him. But it wouldn't be a punch like this, it would be my whole body shooting through because that's what we do. So when you're practicing this form of redirecting and sticking, the whole idea is you're practicing these exercises with just hand to, you can do it this way, put your hand to hand. Now I want to punch him and then he wants to punch me, I redirect it because and you'll end up developing a motion so that he comes me, I redirect him, and then we're just redirecting. So you can see that it's not just my arm that moves. When he comes, my body comes backwards and my body comes forward, and the same with him. So if we switch to this side, if he's coming to get me, my body's going back with it and then redirecting to him, and he's doing the same thing. So that's another thing that you can practice to get a bit better of an understanding and ability to stick and redirect the energy. But right now, what I want people to do is, as he comes to punch 1-2, it's going to cross 1-2. If you get to trap, which is what this is, if you can see it from the mirror or from that side, this is trapping, allowing you to strike your opponent. If he's coming to punch 1-2, if he doesn't come for the second punch, you can hit him. It's simple as that. So if he's coming to punch 1-2, he's in a trap. Even if I miss the trap, he comes to punch 1-2. I can't miss the trap, but I'm trying to. There, that I lost the trap because I pushed too far down. Even if I pushed too far here and I didn't collect his arm like this, it's still in position so that you can do your technique. So if he's punching continuously, I should be able to just take one hand anytime that I want to cross it over in a position where I can block both of his arms out and come to strike him, I can do so. So that's the technique that you'd like to work on. Okay, from here, what we're teaching, the exercises we call counter-crossing, which is really strange for people that don't train in Seito Jitsu, and it takes a while to get used to them. Some people think there's issues with it because they think, I don't want to start with my arms crossed, and they think that it's bad. Or for the sake that the idea is, if he has his arms crossed, they say, what if I push down on your arms and start punching your face? I got both of your arms crossed already. So the answer is, when he pushes on me, I just let that go. So and I can let it go from either side. But if he pushes on this and I turn this way, then I'm opening the back of my head. If he pushed with the other arm to control me this way, I let that energy go, and I'm going to be in position to strike my opponent. So just to preempt what some people might see, because they watch videos, and there's a lot of video martial artists who look at things and go, oh, he can't do this, I'd get him like this, or I'd get him like that. It's like, you know, you should be looking for what I'm trying to teach, and then progress from that, and then you can add with your own thoughts and things afterwards. So it's only going to expand your knowledge. So looking at this, when he comes to punch me, I go with that energy. So I have two hands on the outside of him. Rather than if he came to punch me and I stuck this way, I have to punch across myself, he has to punch across. It's not as practical to me as me coming this way. So the other thing is, while we're practicing the exercise that I just taught earlier, so when he punches from the other hand, and I'm redirecting like this. So I'm always counter-crossing, which means this side matches my side, and I uncross and go in this position. So that's what we're doing so that in case people are trying to learn some techniques here, when he comes to punch, you uncross and be in this position. Now, when you're going to strike, he comes to punch, you move your whole body. You never go like this and come to punch. And I lean to come here. For teaching purposes, I may not close in and be in a position to choke him, or be in a position, or just come in and strike him and strike him. You can do anything from there. Now, the mistake people can make sometimes is if you didn't counter cross. So let's say he was in a position like this, and he left this side open. Now, leaving this side open, if I'm the attacker, I'm not going to attack with my left hand because he can block that way, turning me away from him. So what I do is I'm going to punch him this way. So usually when somebody sees this hand coming, that arm blocks down and he gets hit with this hand. That's one of the reasons why we don't do this, because we don't want to have to cross ourselves on a block. So in doing this, the sticking exercises to counter this, because you got to realize it is a mistake. So instead of being counter-cross, put up your hands like you're fighting. I'm like this. And if I'm like this, and he comes to punch me, that I block like this, I'm going to get hit. So the sticking technique is when he comes to punch, I'm moving this way and taking my hand this way. So when he comes to punch, the other thing that, I'm not just going like this, with my body rigid standing here doing this. What I'm doing is he comes to punch, I'm moving outside of that punch and coming in this position to cross him over, where I can then continue to hit him, choke him, arm bar him, anything I want from this point of view, from basic techniques. So let's say we're in this position now, which would be the opposite. So he comes to punch me, and I go like this, and I get hit in my face with his other hand. So the technique that you're doing to prevent this happening is when he comes to punch me, I'm moving in this position like this, so then I could either hit him here or come straight through from this position. The whole idea is when he comes to punch me, you're redirecting it. So it's not a block like this. It's not a hard block. It's a soft block with my body moving in this position. See, my arm is this way, but it has to come this way, because it's going to be, the technique for sticking is here. So he comes to punch, we're in this position, he comes to punch, we're in this position, and we can do anything we want to at that point. He can come to punch, and I can keep punching him. It could be simple, so just practice the ideas, and on the other side again, when we're in this position, you're here. So in doing it slow, I'm not standing here where I could be punched. I am moving around. And as I'm moving around, the back of my arm is in this position, so I'm coming up here. Whether I wanted to strike him here or strike him across, taking his arm, there's a multitude of things that you can do from here. Okay, so in your sticking techniques, if your opponent comes to punch you and you redirect that punch, as long as the energy is coming towards you, you can redirect that for you. If somebody punches you and they're not actually trying to hit you, there's nothing to redirect. So if he's coming to punch me and I'm redirecting that energy, I can redirect it like I said. If I redirect this energy down, he has to punch across the top, and you're in this position here where you can trap him. If I redirect his energy up, when he comes to punch up, he has to punch downwards. So as long as you're in a position where you're here in this position, you're actually, as soon as somebody punches, you're redirecting his own arm to cross him in this position here. Each time, I can decide, what you're deciding is where the guy's going to punch you, because you're giving him the option. When he comes to punch here, he's punching down. If he comes to punch me and I redirect it down, he has to punch across the top. So as long as you're in a position to trap, or you can do it with one hand. So once I'm here, I'm cross. Actually, I got his own hand trapped in this position, so I could hit him with my other hand. If I wanted to, I could just hit him with this hand and keep fighting him just using one hand. So when he comes to punch, I'm in this position, I'm leaving him to punch me this way. So it's, if I'm sticking downwards, he has to punch me this way. If he starts his punch with the other hand, the same thing. You redirect it. You don't let it stay like this. Watch this. His energy, I just want to follow the energy. He's coming to hit me. I let that hit go. I can let that hit go and redirect it right past me. If somebody's coming, I can let it go and redirect it. You can't stop it. You don't go like this and stop it. You have to, once you get his energy going, you can make it go wherever you want it to go. So in doing this, when he comes, you're in this position here, he has to punch across his body in this position here. So I'm crossing him. I collected his hand on the back of my forearm. I have this hand in this position. So if I wanted to strike him or elbow him into his kidneys and strike him, it's all fine. So when you're doing these techniques, you're just redirecting. I'm making him punch me where I want him to. So when he punches, I bring this down, it means he has to come up. If we're here, he can punch inside here, so I have to come back here again. So you'd be into where we were on the first exercises that we were doing. When you're here, you can just hit him this way or hit him this way. As long as you keep leaving pressure on somebody, people resist it. After you practice for a while, you realize that the only thing that's trapping him is his own resistance. So if he learns to drop and let it go, then that's something that you develop in time. So when he comes to punch, I redirected him up so that I'm ready for this position here. And in this case here, what we've done is we put a stick behind our legs and make sure that the shortest person's arm can touch you on both shoulders. So when he comes to punch me, and he keeps punching me, I have to always be in a position that I'm moving away from his punches, crossing him from one to the other. Now see how it looks like, you can see that in the video, it looks like he's punching like this, and that's what makes, that's what I'm always reiterating, because people see that and think, nobody's punching like this. But if I'm not blocking him and he's punching me, he's punching and pulling back and forth. He's not doing this. That is all the redirection, which is the strategy and theory that we're trying to teach you techniques for using our hand techniques here. Once again, the sticks are behind us because we want to develop the ability that our bodies will move and redirect energy rather than having our bodies move out of the way. So if you want to develop the ability, when he's punching, that you're redirecting that energy that's coming at you. The energy is coming, and I'm redirecting it across his own arm. So your body has to move away from it in this position. And this is another trapping technique. It's utilizing the wrist. So there's a few traps that I throw in here just because they're natural progression of what we're doing. When the punch comes, let that punch go. It's still going. Look, you can't, if you oppose it, it's just going to stop, and then the energy is going to go back and feed him to fight the next one. So make sure that goes. See, he had this energy here that was ready to throw this other punch, and I've stopped the energy. Don't stop the energy, let it expand past. If you learn to let the energy expand past, that is redirecting of that force, that punch that's coming. Because it's just like, if people don't understand it, it'd be like, let's say you're hitting a heavy bag and you're hitting it really hard and you're locking your body behind it, and then somebody's holding on to the heavy bag and then they move it on you. So the idea is, in your mind and body connected, you adjust for resistance when you hit something. You know something has resistance. If you go to hit something and nothing's there, your body will go forward. Unless you're just planning on never hitting anybody with any energy that's going through. So the whole idea in these hand techniques is that when it comes to punch, you're letting that energy go. Once it goes to its point, that's when you redirect it. Like, he goes to the point where he's almost falling, and then I can redirect it. That is the exercise, that's the technique that you're trying to develop here. Okay, there's more reasons to why we put the stick behind our feet. Why it is a number of reasons, but if somebody comes to punch you, he has to be able to punch me and knock me back. And if I go past my stick, then I'm not doing my technique properly. So if he comes to punch me, I have to redirect his punch into a sticking technique. So if he comes to punch me here, and as he's punching me, the whole idea is, in some martial arts, some people are this far away from somebody and they're punching, and people are doing blocks, and they're not doing blocks that would actually be effective for anybody that's actually having any motion through you. By practicing with the sticks behind your feet, as he comes to punch you, if I didn't move, he comes to punch me, he's pushing me back. The punch is knocking me back. So if you're doing your technique properly, when he goes to punch you, you're redirecting it into this position. If you wanted to punch him, you could punch him. If he continued punching you, you would then do your sticking technique. Now I can punch him, or I can punch him, or I can wait for him to punch me and then punch him. It doesn't really matter. But the whole idea here is, when we have the sticks behind us, it allows us to train our body so that when he's coming, actually what's going to happen, what's really funny is, watch this, when he comes to punch, I can take him right off his movement. If you take the energy properly, when he comes to punch, you're in this position taking his center of gravity off. Now I'm not grabbing him and pulling him. I'm taking this just lightly on my finger, and he's falling over. Like I said, the whole idea of sticking is never to, as he comes to punch, never to stop his energy, but to take his energy from his center. So when he comes to punch, I'm lightly going with his energy and letting it pass in this position where I could then continue my attack. So just to make it understood a bit better why we have the sticks behind our feet, it's because when people practice and they get better and they're hitting faster and harder, the whole idea is you're trying to knock somebody beat through his stick. Or if he's coming to get me, I want to take him away from his stick. So if he's coming to punch me and I'm in this position where I'm hitting him, and eventually he's going to punch anytime I want to punch him from either side, I can do so. The whole idea is with the sticking technique, which is the soft stuff, because our next theories and strategies are going to delve into the hard stuff, because we're not one-dimensional. Here we use a lot of theories and strategies in our hand techniques. So just concluding this segment here, I just wanted to explain it a bit better. So when you're practicing yourself and you have somebody that's getting better, eventually when you go to hit somebody, you're going to want to knock him off his stick. If he doesn't use his body movement and let that energy go by and redirect it, then he will be knocked off.